The Deep Space Monitoring Station on Europa lit up like a Christmas tree at exactly 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time. The operator on duty, Mike Wilson, nearly spilled his coffee as hundreds of unknown objects suddenly appeared at the edge of the solar system. His hand shook as he pressed the emergency alert button, sending signals racing across the vast emptiness of space to Earth. Within minutes, the United Earth Defense Council's emergency bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains came alive with activity. Military officers rushed to their stations, their boots echoing off steel floors as massive screens displayed the approaching threat. The room fell silent as Admiral James Turner, a tall man with gray hair and stern eyes, stepped onto the command platform. "Show me what we're dealing with," he ordered, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The main screen zoomed in on the unknown fleet. Massive ships, each larger than Earth's biggest cities, moved in perfect formation. Their dark hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making them look like moving holes in space. Conservative estimates put their number at over 300 vessels. "Sir," reported Captain Lisa Brown from her station, "the lead ships will reach Mars orbit in approximately 3 weeks at their current speed." Admiral Turner nodded, his face illuminated by the blue glow of holographic displays. "And our defensive readiness. Quantum shield generators are at 100% capacity. The lunar defense grid is fully operational. All Earth-based missile systems are green across the board." The Admiral allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had spent the last 50 years preparing for this moment. Ever since detecting the first signs of intelligent life beyond their solar system, Earth's nations had united in an unprecedented way. The old rivalries had fallen away in the face of a possible external threat. The first transmission from the alien fleet arrived 12 hours later. The message was simple and direct. To the primitive species inhabiting the third planet, "Your world now belongs to the Galactic Empire. Surrender immediately and submit to imperial rule, or face extinction. You have 1 Earth month to comply." In the council chamber, representatives from every nation watched the transmission in stunned silence. The alien who delivered the message looked almost human, except for the metallic sheen of their skin and entirely black eyes. Their arrogance was clear in every word. "They're underestimating us," commented General William Hayes, his weathered face tight with concentration. "Their scans must not have detected our quantum technology." Admiral Turner agreed. In the decades since humanity had discovered quantum manipulation, they had developed defenses that worked on principles the rest of the galaxy seemed to have overlooked. While the Empire had focused on brute force and energy weapons, Earth had taken a different path. "Launch the stealth satellites," Turner ordered. "I want eyes on every ship in that fleet, and get me everything we can about their weapon systems." Over the next week, Earth's invisible observation platforms slipped between the Imperial ships, gathering data. The information they sent back was enlightening. The Empire's technology, while advanced, relied heavily on plasma-based weapons and traditional shield systems. They had no defense against quantum-based attacks. Meanwhile, Earth's cities transformed. Massive shield generators rose from hidden underground bunkers. Military bases that had stayed hidden for decades activated their defense systems. The lunar surface bristled with weapon emplacements that had been disguised as research stations. "Sir," Captain Brown called out one morning, "we're detecting movement from the fleet. They're launching smaller ships toward Mars." Admiral Turner watched as dozens of Imperial scouts headed toward the Red Planet. They would find the abandoned research stations, the empty colonies. All personnel had been evacuated the moment the fleet was detected. What they wouldn't find were any hints of Earth's true military capability. "Let them look," Turner said quietly. "Let them think we're exactly what they expect, a primitive species barely able to reach our own moon." The scouts spent 3 days examining Mars before returning to their fleet. Their next transmission was filled with even more condescension than the first. "Your attempts at space colonization are primitive and laughable. Your surrender deadline remains unchanged. Prepare for Imperial rule." In the command center, Admiral Turner turned to face the assembled military leadership of Earth. "Send word to all commands. Operation Bright Shield is now active. And get me a channel to their flagship." He straightened his uniform and squared his shoulders. "It's time to send our response." The Imperial scout ships moved silently through Earth's upper atmosphere, their cloaking systems active. Below them, cities buzzed with normal activity. Cars moved along highways, planes flew their regular routes, and people went about their daily lives. The scout ship's commanders smiled at what they saw as primitive technology. They couldn't have been more wrong. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a hidden command center, Commander Robert Stone watched the alien ships through quantum detection arrays. Every move they made was visible to Earth's advanced sensors. Their cloaking technology might as well have been a child hiding under a blanket. "They're scanning our major cities now, sir," reported Lieutenant Amy Rogers, her fingers moving across a holographic display. "They're particularly interested in our power plants and military bases." Stone nodded, his blue eyes reflecting the glow of the screens around him. "Let them see what we want them to see." "Are the decoys working?" "Yes, sir. They're completely fooled by our fake military installations. The quantum shield generators remain undetected." The Imperial scouts spent 3 days examining Earth. They watched military exercises using outdated tanks and jets, carefully staged shows put on for their benefit. They scanned power plants that seemed to run on fossil fuels, never detecting the quantum reactors hidden deep below. They observed satellite launches using chemical rockets, not realizing that Earth's real space fleet lay hidden on the far side of the moon. On the 4th day, the scouts returned to their main fleet. In the Imperial flagship's command center, Admiral Dex of the Empire reviewed their findings with growing confidence. "These humans are even more primitive than we thought," he declared to his officers. "Their most advanced weapons are chemical explosives. Their space travel capabilities are limited to their own moon. Victory will be swift and absolute." But not everyone in the Imperial fleet shared their leader's confidence. Science Officer Rex studied the scout reports with growing unease. Something didn't add up. "Admiral," he said carefully, "I noticed some inconsistencies in the data. The humans' power usage doesn't match their visible infrastructure, and their communications technology seems more advanced than their other systems would suggest." Admiral Dex waved away his concerns. "Typical primitive inefficiency, nothing more." Back on Earth, Commander Stone received permission to launch the next phase of humanity's plan. A small asteroid, about the size of a football field, was quietly moved into position between Earth and the Imperial fleet. "Testing quantum cannon alignment," reported Lieutenant Rogers. "Target is locked." Stone opened a secured channel to Admiral Turner's command center. "Sir, we're ready for the demonstration." In the Rocky Mountain bunker, Admiral Turner looked at the assembled Earth Defense Council. "Should we proceed with the warning?" The council members nodded solemnly. This would be humanity's only warning to the Empire. They had all agreed there would be no second chances. The quantum cannon powered up silently. Unlike the Empire's noisy, flashy weapons, Earth's technology operated on principles that the aliens had never discovered. The weapon didn't fire a beam or projectile. Instead, it created a localized disruption in the quantum field, a disruption that could tear matter apart at the subatomic level. "Quantum cannon at full power," Lieutenant Rogers announced. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. There was no sound, no flash of light, no visible beam. One moment the asteroid existed, and the next it simply vanished, converted instantly into its component atoms. In the Imperial fleet, alarms blared. Science Officer Rex rushed to his instruments, his face pale. "Admiral, the asteroid, it's just gone. Complete atomic dissolution. I've never seen anything like this." Admiral Dex gripped the arms of his command chair. "Impossible. These primitives can't have such technology. Run another scan." But before they could act, a transmission reached the Imperial fleet. The message was simple, broadcast on all frequencies in perfect Imperial standard. To the Galactic Empire, you have witnessed a small demonstration of Earth's defensive capabilities. This was not a show of force. This was not a threat. This was a warning, your only warning. Leave our solar system, or the next demonstration will not be aimed at an empty rock. In the Empire's flagship, Admiral Dex's face darkened with rage. They dare to threaten us. Prepare the fleet for attack. We will show these primitives the true meaning of power. Science Officer Rex looked at his readings again and whispered quietly to himself, I fear we may have made a terrible mistake. Ambassador Thomas Reed stood on the bridge of Earth's most advanced ship, the EDS Defender, as it moved into position between Earth and the Imperial fleet. At 60 years old, with silver hair and steady hands, he had been chosen to deliver humanity's final message to the Empire. The ship, despite being smaller than the Imperial vessels, carried technology that would have seemed like magic to the aliens. We're in position, Captain Mark Rogers announced. Imperial ships are tracking us, but their weapons aren't locked on yet. They seem curious. Reed nodded, straightening his simple black uniform. Open a channel to their flagship. Let's make our position very clear. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Dex watched the small Earth vessel with amusement. It was barely the size of their smallest cruiser, though he had to admit its design was oddly elegant. He was surprised these primitives could build something that could reach this far out in space. Incoming transmission from the Earth vessel, reported his communications officer. Put it through, Dex commanded, settling into his command chair with a smirk. Let's hear what these primitives have to say. Ambassador Reed's image appeared on the Imperial bridge's main screen. His calm demeanor caught the Imperial officers off guard. There was no fear in his eyes, no hint of submission in his posture. I am Ambassador Thomas Reed of Earth, he began, his voice clear and strong. I speak for all of humanity. You have witnessed a small demonstration of our defensive capabilities. Now we will show you why your threats of invasion are not just foolish, but suicidal. Admiral Dex leaned forward, his face darkening with anger. You dare. Reed cut him off, something no one had done to an Imperial admiral in centuries. We are not finished. Look to your left. In the void of space, about 1,000 kilometers from the Imperial fleet, a massive Imperial warship appeared. It was identical to the ships in the invasion fleet, except this one was empty. A captured vessel from a previous Imperial scouting mission that humanity had kept hidden for years. We've had years to study Imperial technology, Reed continued. We know every weakness, every flaw in your designs. Watch carefully. From the EDS Defender, a small pulse of energy emerged, invisible to Imperial sensors, but blazing bright on Earth's quantum detection grid. The pulse hit the empty Imperial warship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, starting from the point of impact, the massive ship began to dissolve. Not explode, not break apart. It simply ceased to exist, transforming into its constituent atoms in a cascading wave of dissolution. In less than 30 seconds, the kilometer-long warship had vanished completely. Silence fell across the Imperial bridge. Science Officer Rex's instruments were going crazy, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Admiral Dex stood frozen, his face a mask of disbelief. That ship, Reed continued, was constructed using your most advanced materials, protected by your best shields. As you saw, they offered no protection against our quantum weapons. We have enough power to do this to every ship in your fleet simultaneously. He paused, letting the implications sink in. But we are not conquerors. We do not seek war. This demonstration was not a threat. It was a warning. You have 2 hours to begin withdrawing your fleet from our solar system. If even one Imperial ship remains after that time, we will consider it an act of war. The transmission ended, leaving the Imperial bridge in stunned silence. Science Officer Rex finally spoke, his voice shaking. Admiral, Their weapon. It's not just advanced, it's beyond anything in our scientific understanding. They've discovered principles of physics we never even imagined. Admiral Dex gripped his command chair tightly. In 3,000 years, no one had ever dared to give the Empire an ultimatum. But he had also never seen a weapon that could simply erase matter from existence. On the EDS Defender, Ambassador Reed watched as the Imperial fleet remained motionless. Captain Rogers checked his countdown display. 1 hour and 50 minutes remaining, sir. Reed nodded. Send word to Earth. Tell them to ready all defensive systems. The next 2 hours will determine whether today ends in peace or becomes the first day of a war that will change the galaxy forever. In the depths of space, humanity's quantum shield grid hummed silently, ready to protect Earth from any possible attack. The Empire had ruled the galaxy through fear for millennia. Now, for the first time, they faced something they had never encountered before, a species that not only refused to fear them, but had the power to back up their defiance. The 2-hour deadline was about to expire. On the Imperial flagship's bridge, Admiral Dex paced back and forth, his pride wrestling with his fear. The Empire had never retreated, not once in 3,000 years. He had made his decision. Launch all fighters. He commanded. Target their main cities. Show these arrogant humans the true might of the Empire. Science Officer Rex stepped forward. Admiral, please reconsider. Their technology. Silence. Dex shouted. No primitive species threatens the Empire. All ships, open fire. Thousands of Imperial fighters poured from the carrier ships. Behind them, the capital ships charged their main weapons. The dark void of space lit up as energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward Earth. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Admiral Turner watched calmly as the Imperial attack approached. They never learn, do they? He said quietly. Activate quantum shields. All defense stations, prepare to return fire. The Imperial weapons reached Earth's atmosphere. For a brief moment, the attackers thought their strikes would hit home. Then something extraordinary happened. As each energy beam and torpedo hit the quantum shield, it simply vanished. There was no explosion, no light show, no drain on Earth's power systems. The shield didn't deflect or absorb the attacks. It erased them from existence. On the Imperial flagship, disbelief turned to horror. Impossible, Admiral Dex screamed. Launch everything. All weapons, maximum power. The Empire's entire fleet opened fire, pouring enough firepower to destroy a dozen planets into Earth's defenses. The quantum shield continued its silent work, erasing each attack, as if it had never existed. Admiral Turner's voice came over all Imperial communications channels. You were warned. Now, witness the consequence of your choice. He nodded to his weapons officer. Target their fighter squadrons first. No loss of life if we can avoid it. Earth's defensive grid activated. Hundreds of quantum pulses swept out from hidden stations on the moon and orbital platforms. Each pulse caught dozens of Imperial fighters, causing them to simply fade from existence. Within minutes, the entire fighter attack force was gone. In the Empire's fleet, panic began to spread. Admiral, Science Officer Rex shouted over the alarms. We've lost all fighters. Our weapons have no effect. We must retreat. But Admiral Dex had lost all reason to his rage. No retreat. Close to minimum range. We'll break through their defenses with sheer power. The Imperial ships moved closer, still firing uselessly against Earth's shields. Admiral Turner shook his head sadly. Very well. Target their weapon systems only. Show them what precision means. The quantum defense grid fired again. This time, the pulses were microscopically precise. On each Imperial ship, weapon systems simply disappeared, cleanly excised as if they had never been installed. Gun turrets, missile bays, energy projectors, all vanished in seconds. Admiral Dex stared in horror as his mighty fleet was surgically disarmed. How are they doing this? On Earth, Commander Stone's voice came over the command channel. "Sir, all Imperial weapons have been neutralized. No casualties on either side." Admiral Turner nodded with satisfaction. "Open a channel to their flagship." When Turner's image appeared on the Imperial bridge, even Admiral Dex fell silent. "Your fleet is now defenseless," Turner stated simply. "We could have destroyed every ship, but we chose not to. We don't want war, Admiral. We don't want conquest. We just want to be left alone." He paused, letting his words sink in. "You have 30 minutes to withdraw your fleet. This time, we've only removed your weapons. If you force us to fire a third time, we will remove your ships entirely. Choose wisely." The transmission ended. On the Imperial flagship, Science Officer Rex approached Admiral Dex quietly. "Sir, we have no choice. They could have killed us all, but they showed mercy. We must withdraw." Admiral Dex stood motionless, staring at the blue planet that had just humbled the mighty Imperial fleet. Finally, his shoulders slumped. "Give the order. All ships, retreat." The Imperial fleet turned slowly, their massive engines powering up. As they began to move away from Earth, Admiral Turner watched from his command center. "Send word to all Earth defense stations," he ordered. "Maintain battle stations until they're out of the system. And contact the Council. We need to prepare for what comes next. The Empire won't forget this defeat easily." As the Imperial ships disappeared into the darkness of space, humanity had just announced its arrival on the galactic stage. Not with conquest or destruction, but with a demonstration of power tempered by mercy, a combination the Empire had never seen before. The Imperial Palace on the capital world of Nova Prime buzzed with activity. The Grand Council chamber, with its towering crystal walls and floating platforms, had never seen such chaos. 12 high counselors argued loudly while Emperor Marcus III sat silently on his throne, watching the debate unfold. "This is unprecedented," shouted High Counselor Rex, who had been promoted after his warnings about Earth proved correct. "No species has ever defeated an Imperial fleet. Not in 3,000 years. The Imperial Fleet Admiral, replacing the disgraced Dex, stood in the center of the chamber. His report had shocked everyone. Earth's weapons could erase matter itself. Their shields made Imperial weapons useless. And worst of all, they had developed everything independently. The humans, the Fleet Admiral continued, never found ancient technology catches like other species. They never reversed engineered Imperial tech. Everything they have, they invented themselves." Emperor Marcus leaned forward, speaking for the first time. "How is this possible?" The Imperial Science Division's head, Dr. Julius, stepped forward with a holographic display. "We've analyzed their development path. While we focused on plasma and energy weapons, they explored quantum physics. While we perfected shield deflection, they learned to manipulate reality itself. They took a completely different path of scientific discovery." The display showed Earth's technological progress over the last century. The Council watched in stunned silence as humanity went from primitive combustion engines to quantum manipulation in just a few generations. "Their rate of advancement is terrifying," Dr. Julius added. "They're not just different, they're faster. They achieve in decades what takes other species centuries." High Counselor Rex stood up. "And now they know about us. They know our weaknesses. They could strike at any moment." "No," Emperor Marcus said quietly. "They won't." He stood, his royal robes shimmering. "They had the power to destroy our fleet. Instead, they showed mercy. They only wanted us to leave. This is not the behavior of conquerors." The chamber fell silent. The Emperor rarely spoke at length in council meetings. "What troubles me more," he continued, "are the reports from our border worlds. News of Earth's victory is spreading. 3 systems have already declared independence." The council erupted again. The Empire had ruled through fear and superior technology. Now, both were being questioned. Dr. Julius cleared his throat. There's more, Your Majesty. Our deep space probes have detected quantum energy signatures similar to Earth's technology. They're helping other worlds. The Emperor nodded slowly. As I suspected. They're not interested in conquest. They're interested in liberation. He turned to face the massive star map dominating one wall. The question is, what do we do about it? High Counselor Rex stepped forward. We must strike now. Gather every fleet, every ship, and watch them vanish like the last fleet. Dr. Julius interrupted. Their quantum weapons could erase our entire navy in minutes, and now they're teaching others their technology. The Emperor raised his hand for silence. We face three choices. First, we could attack with everything we have, but their technology means certain defeat. Second, we could try to negotiate, offer them a place in the Empire, but they've already rejected our authority. He paused, looking at each council member. The third option is the most difficult for us to accept. We withdraw. We pull back from Earth and its neighboring systems. We take time to study their technology, to learn and adapt. The council chamber erupted in protests. Withdraw. The Empire never withdrew. Silence. The Emperor commanded. Our empire has survived for 3,000 years because we knew when to adapt. This is such a moment. We faced a superior force, and they showed us mercy. Let us be wise enough to learn from this lesson. He turned to the fleet admiral. Order all ships to pull back at least 3 systems from Earth's space, and send word to our research divisions. I want every resource focused on understanding quantum physics. As the council members filed out, Dr. Julius approached the Emperor privately. Your Majesty, there's one more thing. Our long-range sensors indicate Earth is building something. Something big. The Emperor looked at the data pad Julius handed him. His eyes widened slightly. They're not stopping at defense, are they? They're preparing to reshape the entire galaxy. In the depths of space, humanity's first quantum space gate was taking shape. Soon, any world that wanted freedom from the Empire would have a powerful ally, one that had already proven it could stand up to imperial might. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and for the first time in 3,000 years, the Empire would have to learn to share the stars. 3 months after the Empire's retreat, Earth's first quantum gate burst into existence near the orbit of Jupiter. The massive ring-shaped structure, 5 kilometers in diameter, hummed with power that could bend space itself. Commander Robert Stone stood on the bridge of the EDS Freedom, watching as final tests were completed. Gate power at 100%, reported Lieutenant Rogers. Ready for first long-range jump. Stone nodded, feeling the weight of history. This jump would take them further than any human had ever traveled. Send the signal to Earth Command. Operation Thunderbolt is go. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Admiral Turner watched multiple screens showing similar quantum gates being constructed by other worlds, all built using Earth's designs freely shared with any planet that wanted to break free from Imperial control. Commander Stone, Turner spoke into the comm system. You have clearance for the first jump. Good hunting. The EDS Freedom moved toward the quantum gate. Behind it, 5 more Earth ships followed in formation. Each carried not just weapons and supplies, but something the Empire never expected. Hope. The gate activated, creating a tunnel through space-time itself. The Freedom and its escort ships entered smoothly, vanishing in a flash of blue light. Seconds later, they emerged in a distant star system, one that had been under Imperial control for centuries. The local space station immediately hailed them. Unknown vessels, this is Port 7 of the Centauri system. Please identify. The controller's voice cut off as he saw Earth's insignia. You really came. Stone smiled. This is Commander Stone of the Earth Defense Force. We received your call for help. The Empire's days of control are over. Within hours, news spread across the system. The legendary humans who had defeated an Imperial fleet had arrived. The local Imperial garrison, already nervous after hearing about Earth's victory, faced a choice: fight or surrender. They chose surrender. As Stone's team helped the local government establish its independence, more reports flooded in. 3 other star systems had risen against their imperial controllers. Earth's quantum gate technology had changed everything. No system was out of reach, no people beyond help. A week later, on a planet called New Hope, Stone stood before a gathering of representatives from 20 different species. Some looked almost human, others were completely alien, but all shared the same look of determination. Earth stands ready to help any world that wants freedom, Stone declared. We offer our technology, our protection, and our friendship, not as rulers, but as equals. A tall, blue-skinned delegate stood up. The Empire told us we were primitive, that we needed their guidance. They kept technology from us, made us dependent on them. Why are you humans different? Stone looked around the room. Because we know what it's like to be underestimated. We know what it's like to have someone try to control us. Earth doesn't want an empire. We want allies. He activated a hologram showing the quantum gate network spreading across the galaxy. Every world that joins us gets the same technology, the same protection. We teach you to build your own gates, your own quantum shields. No secrets, no control, just cooperation. The meeting lasted for hours as more representatives arrived through the quantum gates. By the end, 30 systems had joined what they called the Free Worlds Alliance. Not an empire, but a partnership of equals. Back on Earth, Admiral Turner received Stone's report with satisfaction. How many Imperial garrisons have surrendered? He asked. 17 so far, replied his aide. Most don't even try to fight once they see our ships. The Empire's reputation was built on fear, and that fear is gone. Turner walked to the window, looking at the quantum gate visible in the night sky. And the Empire itself. Pulling back everywhere. Their own worlds are starting to question their rule. This is more than a military victory. It's a revolution in how species interact. Turner smiled. Send word to Commander Stone. Tell him to keep going. Every world that wants freedom should have it. In deep space, the EDS Freedom prepared to jump to another system. On its hull, a new symbol had been painted, a quantum gate with Earth at its center, surrounded by stars representing free worlds. The Empire had thought they would add Earth to their collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they had awakened something far more powerful than any weapon. The human desire to help others stand up for themselves. The galaxy would never be the same. 1 year after humanity's first contact with the Galactic Empire, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The massive hall of the Free Worlds Alliance on Earth buzzed with activity as representatives from over 100 liberated worlds gathered for a historic meeting. Admiral Turner stood at the main podium, his uniform now bearing the symbols of both Earth Defense Force and the Alliance. The hall fell silent as he began to speak. 1 year ago, the Empire thought Earth would be an easy conquest. Instead, they found something they had never seen before, a species that had found its own path to the stars. He gestured to the diverse crowd before him. Now look at what that single moment of defiance has created. The main screen behind him lit up, showing a real-time map of the galaxy. Blue lights represented free worlds, connected by quantum gates. Red showed the shrinking territory of the Empire. Nearly a third of the galaxy now shone with the blue light of freedom. Commander Stone entered the hall, returning from his latest mission. He walked to the podium as Admiral Turner gestured him forward. Our latest reports confirm that the Empire has officially withdrawn from the Orion sector, Stone announced. 20 more worlds have joined the Alliance this month alone. But more importantly, we've discovered something remarkable on each freed world: innovation. He activated a hologram showing new technologies being developed across the Alliance. When the Empire ruled, they suppressed independent research. Now, freed worlds are combining their knowledge with quantum science. We're seeing advances that neither humans nor the Empire ever imagined possible. A delegate from one of the first freed worlds stood up. This was Gray, a tall being with silvery skin who had become one of the Alliance's most respected leaders. The Empire ruled through fear and control, Gray said. Earth showed us a different way. They didn't conquer us. They taught us to defend ourselves. The Emperor's personal ambassador, attending the meeting as an observer, watched with a mixture of awe and concern. The Empire had finally accepted reality. They could no longer rule through force. The age of imperial dominance was over. Admiral Turner activated another display, showing the newest Earth project. This is why we've called you all here today. We call it the Quantum Defense Network. Once completed, it will connect every Alliance world with an automated defense system. If any world is attacked, all of us can respond instantly. The hall erupted in applause. This was what the Empire had never understood. True strength came from cooperation, not control. Commander Stone took the podium again. But defense is just the beginning. The network will also allow instant travel between any Alliance worlds. Trade, cultural exchange, scientific cooperation. Distance will no longer be a barrier. The Imperial Ambassador stood up. Everyone fell silent, wondering what the Empire's response would be. I bring a message from Emperor Marcus, the Ambassador said. The Empire formally recognizes the Free Worlds Alliance as an equal power in the galaxy. We seek not war, but peaceful coexistence. A cheer went up from the gathered delegates. It was official. The Empire had accepted the new reality. Admiral Turner raised his hand for silence. We accept the Empire's desire for peace. Our goal was never conquest. It was to prove that different species could work together as equals. Today, we've achieved that goal. The meeting continued as representatives discussed plans for the future. Trade agreements were signed, cultural exchanges were arranged, and joint scientific projects were launched. In orbit above Earth, the quantum gate that had started it all continued its silent operation. Ships from 100 worlds passed through it, carrying not weapons of war, but ideas, art, science, and friendship. Commander Stone stood at a window, watching the traffic through the gate. Admiral Turner joined him. Did you ever imagine this? Stone asked. When we first detected their fleet, did you think it would end like this? Turner smiled. Humans have always been good at surprising people. The Empire thought they would teach us our place in the galaxy. Instead, we taught the galaxy that there was a better way. As the sun rose over Earth, its light reflected off the quantum gate, creating a rainbow of colors in space. The Empire had meant to conquer one world. Instead, they had sparked a revolution of freedom that would forever change the stars. Humanity's first message to the galaxy had been a warning. Their lasting message turned out to be hope.